Okay, I think we should get started. So, good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, rather, and a very warm welcome to all of you. And thank you for joining us today for today's session on the ownership gap, why smart people don't take ownership, and what leaders can do about it. Ownership is one of the most critical qualities that drives individual and organizational success. So, in today's session, we'll explore why ownership gaps exist and, more importantly, what leaders can do to build a culture of accountability and initiative. We are delighted to have with us Mr. Prakash Nair, a leadership trainer and executive coach with over 35 years of experience, who has worked with leading organizations across industries and has trained thousands of professionals in leadership, communication, and service excellence. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Prakash to take over the session. And Mr. Prakash, if you want to add into your credentials, you can go ahead and do that. So over to you. So you're on mute.
Thank you so much for the great, gracious introduction, Patil. And to everyone here, welcome to this session. And I'm delighted to be here speaking on what is my niche area of leadership development, that is ownership and accountability. As Patil correctly said, ownership and accountability is one of the most critical requirements in today's world. To give you some numbers, in the past 1 year, I have done over 50 workshops on ownership and accountability, and I've coached over 27 senior leaders and founders on ownership and accountability. Now, why that number? Because the people who want to work with me, they come in with me with different requirements. However, at the end of it, one way or the other, it comes down to ownership and accountability. So that is the reason why I feel today ownership and accountability is become a critical requirement and why every organization is starting to look at it as a prime and fundamental requirement. Okay. To add a little bit about myself, I have over 36 years of corporate experience, of which I spent 28 years in various leadership positions across industries. So I worked in hospitality, retail, IT, ITS, manufacturing, oil and gas, telecom. I worked in all these industries. And what I find is the same. Across all these industries and across leadership positions, ownership and accountability is one thing that most leaders struggle with. And one of the key reasons they struggle with is what we are going to look at right now. And then we will get into a few things which all of you leaders can do it starting from today. Okay. So if I could share my screen. And I would like to put this question to you. How many of you have ever said one of these things? Why do I have to follow up so much? Why can't people just take ownership? Why does every decision come back to me? And why am I solving the same problems again? If your answer is yes, could you put a quick why in the chat, please? Okay, Sachin Murli, thank you very much. Archana, yes. I would request everybody to engage. And if you could take switch on your cameras, that would be really great. Engaging with everybody face to face is really good. Oh, I just see that the voice are flowing in. And that is what I always say that in my experience, it is something which everybody, every leader literally struggles with. Okay. So if I may ask you this question, what do these four statements indicate? What do these four statements indicate? You can either use the chat or unmute yourself and speak. What do these four statements indicate? What do they tell you about your leadership, your team, your people? Why is that you have to follow so much?
Ownership
Anyone?
lacking, yeah. I think
Go ahead,
ownership
Deepak.
is lacking. Because of that, people are not thinking from end-to-end perspective.
Yes,
So yeah.
you're right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Lack of Archana says lack of proactiveness. Murli says the team is taking advantage. Yeah. Anybody else? I would love to hear more responses.
Yeah. Here,
Why?
this Venkateshan here.
Yes, Venkatesh.
Yeah, well, all the statements is belonging to sales. Follow up
Belonging to
or
sales.
sales. Yeah, sales,
Okay.
ownership, taking your ownership of your client, retaining the
Okay.
customers, problem solving. Everything is
Hmm.
critical thinking. Everything is based out of some soft skills. But what I'm coming to say is, without
Hmm.
following anybody,
Hmm.
nobody in this world is going to give you anything without follow up.
Okay. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, Venkatesan, for sharing that very strong point of view. All right. However, are there organizations and other teams where you don't have to follow up, and those teams seem to perform extremely well? High performance team, as they are called. The reason I'm saying is that I have worked in high performance teams and I have helped build other people high performance teams where follow up is rarely required. Okay. So when
Uh,
we, yes, Subha.
Sorry, I responded to the chat. I believe that it's primarily because we do not have a clear laid down project plan and stakeholder management. Hence, we need
Thank
to
you.
do this follow up.
Thank you very much, Suparno. Yeah. You are pointing out one of the most followed and most thought about myths about ownership, because 99% of leaders I work with who come to me and say, Prakash, my team does not take ownership and accountability. When I ask them, where is the problem? They say, it's my people. I just need better people. Then I ask them two questions. One is it that your team does not take ownership and accountability in anything? All of you also could share your answers. Is it that your team does not take ownership and accountability in anything? No, right? They do a lot of things very well.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. So we cannot say that they are lazy. They don't care. They are motivated. These are all the very strong statements which I've heard leaders say about their teams, which is very sad. But it is because in certain aspects, certain actions, they are able to take ownership. In certain areas, they are not able to take ownership. So, one of the first things I want to start with is that ownership and accountability is not a personality problem. And as Suparna very correctly pointed out, it is a leadership architecture problem. And I will explain what this leadership architecture is. All right. So let's move on. So this is the title. And once again, welcome. And I am going to share with you before the end of this session three powerful takeaways which you can go and start using from tomorrow to build more ownership and accountability in your team. All right. So the next thing. So most leaders think that these are all ownership problems. But what we are going to explore today is what if it isn't? Already one question we answered. Our team members are not lazy, unmotivated all the time, right? They're able to take ownership. So that means it's not a personality problem. It is the problem of something else which is happening. Okay. Now, many leaders also say, and if you say the same thing again, you can put yes in the chat. Many leaders say that, Prakash, it's a capability problem. So, how many of you think in that areas where they are not showing ownership, it is a capability problem? Could you please put yes in the chat? Okay, Ranganath. How many of you feel that it is a capability problem? Okay, Deepak says no. Naresh Sarvaram says yes. All right, Deepak, if I may come to you, Deepak, any idea? Super no. You also say, why do you say no?
So I believe that as a leader, if I am a program manager, it is my
Ah,
responsibility to map out what are the capabilities and accordingly make sure that I delegate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, Suparna, thank you very much for sharing that. Even if it is a capability problem, it is the leader's responsibility. Because as leaders, you are required to build that capability in the team. And unless you have hired the person saying that, oh, that person has the capability, that person also claims to have the capability, then yes, it's still fine. But otherwise, it is important for us leaders to build the capability. So it is not a ownership problem. It is a leadership system problem. And it is disguised as a people problem. Okay. Now let's go a little bit deeper into that. Okay. So let's understand this ownership gap and what does it mean to us accordingly. All right. So when leaders often see no initiative, what do they say? The employees are experiencing not sure what is expected. Leaders say no initiative. Employees, I'm not sure what to do. Second, no accountability. Something goes wrong, none of the team members stand up and say, hey, it's my mistake, my responsibility, I will fix it. What do they say? They are actually afraid of making a mistake. So they don't stand up. There is a fear because mistakes can be very expensive at the workplace, right? The next is often constantly we have to go and remind them again. But what is the employee saying? Decisions are already made, easy to wait. So this is the leadership gap which is happening or which is being seen in organizations across. So one first thing we have said is that leadership, the ownership, lack of ownership is not a personality or people problem. It is a leadership systemic problem. Second is it is not a capability problem. It is to do with the conditions and the environment in which they are working in. It is also a clarity problem. And let me explain this clarity. However, before I explain, I would like to hear your thoughts on why do I say clarity and what is this clarity? Anybody, would you like to share your thoughts? Why do I say clarity and what is this clarity?
Clarity is all about, telling your team what you want them to do,
Yes.
when do they have to do, and how do
Yes.
they have to do. So
Absolutely.
those are the clarity that you need to give your team, right? You do. Because I want to give one anecdote about
Sure.
this from, if I'm not going to take more than a minute. MS Dhoni told in his one of his interviews that
Mm,
about leadership, what was
mm,
the biggest challenge you faced when you took over leadership
mm,
of the team?
mm, mm,
And he
mm.
said, I assumed everybody knew everything,
Everything.
right?
True.
So he expected everything to move that way. And he said, no, I realized that was the
Yes.
first failure. So being clear is about that.
हो गया.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rudramurthy, for one,
Okay.
making that very powerful insight and sharing that equally evocative anecdote. MS Dhoni is considered one of the greatest leaders,
Exactly.
irrespective of sports, politics, business, social, wherever it is. He is considered one of the greatest leaders. Okay. So that really stands out. So when we say clarity, what is this clarity? But before that, let me give you a powerful analogy. Let's say that it's a weekend, long weekend, and you have decided to go on a mini break and you decided to, if you're in Bangalore, you decided to go to maybe Hyderabad, Chennai, or Kerala. Or if you're in Mumbai, Pune, you decided that you're going to drive down to one of those places. Wherever you are, you decide to take a trip. You go onto the highway, broad, wide highways, beautiful roads. It's a clear day and it's very early in the morning, so traffic is very less. At what speeds would you drive on a highway in these conditions? What speed will you drive? Could you just put your number in the chat, please? If you are the driver, on normally, even if you drive with other people, what speeds do you see them driving? On a highway, 6 o'clock in the morning, on a long weekend. Murli says 100, yes. Deepak is very cautious, 60. Deepak Mishra says 80 to 100, yes. Others? Highway limits, 80. All right, great. Okay, 100 plus for sure, yes. What I've seen is that when I drive at 120, and I see most of the drivers going probably much faster than that. Okay, now let me give you the same scenario with one change. Everything else is the same, but it is not a sunny, clear day. It is pouring quite heavily. So your wind swiper is working extra to just wipe off all the water. In these conditions, how fast would you drive? Give me some numbers again, please. 50 to 60, yes, all right. 60, 40, 40 to 50. Okay, no change, all right. 50 to 60, all right. Now, why is that most of you have reduced your speed by 20 to 40 kilometers an hour? You have reduced it. What's the reason?
Visibility.
Lesser visibility, absolutely. Visibility. All of you have hit the nail on the head. Now, let's shift this analogy, driving a car on the highway to the workplace, and imagine your employees are going at a certain speed within the organization. They are working at a certain speed. If it is sunny, clear day, on the highway, we drive at 100, 120. Inside the workplace, if there is clarity about what is to be done, when it is to be done, who is responsible, then people will work very fast. Your team members will move fast. But if it's the other case, it's rainy and we go at 40, 50, 60, inside the workplace, there is no visibility, then everybody slows down. They wait for reminders. They wait for you to go and tell them what to do. They keep coming to you and asking, is this okay? Can I send this mail? Could you review this proposal? Could I do this? So lack of clarity is one of the biggest reasons why our team members don't take ownership. And we need, as leaders, we need to fix that one first. And that is entirely our responsibility. Because even if we hire a person, let's say highly talented, a person with great deal of expertise, that person comes into an organization, in that organization, there is lack of clarity, even that person will struggle. Yes, Sachin, thank you for sharing that. What do you mean by lack of validation, Sachin? Could you just explain validation for me?
Good evening, everyone. So I just
Sorry.
wanted, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Okay, go ahead, Sachin.
Basically, I was just trying to explain the kind of scenarios where somebody else is doing the entire job and somebody
Hmm.
else is taking care of the credibility. So
Uh-huh.
someone else is working at the back end, whereas someone else is standing in front of the let's suppose organization and taking all the credits of that particular person. So in that case as well, the people who's working on the behind of that particular one phase will feel like that they are standing nowhere in the organization after a
Yes,
few years or few days,
absolutely.
and
Totally agree with you, Sachin.
then they slow down their pace of work as well in
Yes,
that way.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. So clarity on not just on what is to be done, who is to be done, but who gets the credit also. Why should I work very hard when somebody else takes the credit? Absolutely valid question. Okay. Sachin, thank you so much. Now that we have established that ownership, lack of ownership is due to clarity, due to validation or the recognition and the reward is the reasons. Let's also get a little bit more into this and look at what else can impact this. So, does ownership disappear overnight or get built overnight? No, it doesn't. What happens is First, there is confusion. Who's to do what? What happens if you do it? Do I get rewarded or do I get punished? What is the impact of what I do? All this confusion is there because these conditions and this system is not laid down. Because of that confusion, there is dependency. On who is this dependency? What is this dependency? If you could share your thoughts. What is this dependency and who is this dependency on?
Dependency of knowledge transfer.
Yes, absolutely. So, Sachin, it depends on the leader.
Sometimes it's on the leader, and sometimes it's related to a particular department from where
Department.
we are supposed to get the information.
Yes, absolutely right. Okay. So there happens to be dependency where your team member has to now go and ask somebody and get an input, get knowledge, get permission, get approval. And that is why they start coming to you again, because the confusion has created that dependency. Now, this dependency, after a certain point in time, creates problems for both people. You, as a leader, because you're constantly answering the same question for different people, you are not able to do your own work because you are helping your team members solve problems, you are helping them make decisions. So you start getting frustrated. Your team members also, what do they see? Why would they get disengaged? Anyone? Why do I say that your team members also get disengaged? It's not just you getting frustrated. They get disengaged. Why does that happen? And I would love to hear from everyone, others, if you could also share your thoughts.
Because they feel like it is happening on a repeated timeline, so it has become a usual habit for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Monishri has shared lack of motivation. All right. So let's look at this engagement a little bit deeper, because the cost of leaders ignoring lack of ownership and accountability is a humongous cost. It's not a small cost. And I will explain in detail. First, we will cover disengagement and ask what this is. All right. Yesterday morning, I had a call with a client whom I signed up with last week. The mandate is very clear. Prakash, we want to build ownership and accountability in our organization at all levels, because first, we are seeing issues popping up. There are delays, people are waiting, and all that. Secondly, we are now getting a lot of new clients, and we need to ramp up our workforce by 150, 200 people. So we are afraid all these problems will become much bigger. So we want your help. They did workshops and all that. It didn't work. So they came to me. And as we started the third meeting, the CEO came to me and said, Prakash, I have a problem in one team. That team, the top performer has just quit. So I said, please do everything you can to make the top performer stay back. In the meanwhile, let's work on understanding why the person quits and what else we need to do to prevent it from happening more. So I went and did an analysis. I spoke to the clients, I spoke to the other team members and all that. And I found out that that lady was working in a team where lack of ownership was very high, but she was one person who was somehow taking ownership because she was highly driven and she was highly competent. And she had worked in very good organizations before she joined here. So she did that. But she got tired and exhausted because most of the work was being dumped on her head. Her manager, because he could not rely on the other team members, he kept going to her and say, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Other team members are also going and saying, can you help us? So she said, I can't take it anymore. I'm frustrated. So disengagement on your team members as a whole, there is low ownership. It can lead to low ownership, but on another level, it can lead to your top performers leaving the organization. Because if you could just help me with these answers, what do your top performers want? All employees want, but your top performer need it more. What do your top performers want from you and from the organization? Recognition,
Validation,
Monish.
support.
Yes, go ahead. Support, direction, recognition, rewards. Yes, absolutely. All right. To get recognition, to get rewards, to get all that, still is possible. You can get. But there is one thing which is so important for top performers, that is growth. But if the leader is not being able to put that leadership system where more and more responsibilities can be given to these top performers, at least the top performers will say, oh, I don't see myself growing in this organization. It's better for me to leave. And as leaders, if I were to ask you how hard it is to get your people to be top performers, what would your answer be? How hard it is to build a top performer? Time, effort, what and all do you need to build a top performer? Incredible, right? The effort. We do all that, and then the top performer leaves because they feel there is no growth. And disengagement leading to low ownership, which can lead to attrition also. So apart from this, there is another cost also, which is what we see, and I see it. As a leader, how do you grow? Could you please share your thoughts? How can you go and tell your manager that on the performance appraisal day, you go and tell your manager, I did my job and I want a bigger responsibility. I want growth. I want that better hike. On what basis will you ask for this? Output? Yes, Deepak. All right, I'll just wait for a few more responses based on achievements, team performance. All right. Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone. I truly appreciate you engaging and making this workshop so interactive. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you very much. So let me add here a couple of points. Is it enough to just go and tell your manager that I have done what my job is? Or if you want that promotion or you want that growth, do you have to do more than your job? If you say more, please put more in the chat. Yeah. All right, Manishri, more. Others, could you just type in the chat? More. Great. But my question to you, all of you are so busy answering your team members. You are solving the problems. You are making decisions for them. You are correcting their mistakes. You are running behind them, giving them reminders. When you have time only for this, how are you going to grow? So there is a terrible cost for you leaders also. It's not just the team members and the organization. And that's what I would like you to please keep in mind. All right. Now let's get into the symptoms. It's like, we are doctors. Somebody is coming and saying, hey, I don't see ownership and this one in my team. So which means somebody is coming and saying, I have an illness. So now let's understand why this is. Could I have your thoughts on why ownership breaks down based on what we have discussed so far? Just 3, 4 bullet points. Yeah. Why ownership breaks down? What are the reasons your team members don't take? Based on what we have covered so far, could you give bullet points, please? Just 1, 2, whatever you feel it is. Fear of failing, very good. Lack of recognition of the efforts, yes, excellent. What else? Waiting for someone else to take accountability. Prachi, that's a lovely point. Yeah. All right. Okay. Great. I'll just wait a few seconds more to see if others are typing yet. All right. Let's move on. So the reason why first is unclear expectations, which means people don't know what they are supposed to do and how they are supposed to do it. And many a time I see this also. The performance expectations itself is not very clearly defined. Many of the companies I work with and the leaders I coach, I ask them Do your team members know exactly what to do? They all say yes. Then I ask them, can I go and speak to your team members? When I go and ask the team members, I find that there's probably 50-60% clarity. They're not sure what is expected of them. And one quick way, one tip for all of you, if you want to know whether your team members are clear about that expectation, when something doesn't happen or something goes wrong, if you go and ask your team what happened here, and everybody is looking at each other, then that means there is unclear expectation. Or when you go and ask one person, hey, why did this happen? And that person says, I don't know, I did my job, then there is unclear expectations. It's a quick way of finding out. Second is lack of accountability. Again, another powerful analogy from our daily life. Have you noticed these roads in our cities and maybe in other places, but mostly in our cities? Horrible roads, right? And Bangalore, I stay in Bangalore and I see this very often. Somebody will lay a road, 20 crores, 30 crores, hardly last 6 months. There's one road which was laid, 27 crores was spent. Month later on X or X, earlier Twitter, one of the citizens of Bangalore, he had posted a video where he's bending down and scraping that road with his hands, and that entire road is coming apart. 27 crores 1 month. What is happening here? It is because the road contractor, he or she knows that even if they build a bad road, nothing is going to happen. And the contractor who built the road, which came apart in 30 days, after 6 months, he got a bigger tender for 90 crores in Mysore. Why on earth would you ever build a good road? The same way at work, our team members don't take ownership, don't take accountability. They keep on making mistakes. They keep on. And we keep on saying the same thing again. Hey, you should take ownership. Why don't you do this? But there is no other action. There is no other action. If you don't take action, if there is no consequence, then there is going to be no accountability. Because people will say, yeah, my leader will come and scream at me, take it through 1 year, leave it through the next year. Because they want to survive. They need a job. Their families are dependent on them. So why on earth would they do anything else? The next is fear of making mistakes. And I think some of you had mentioned this. When we are not sure, we don't want to make mistakes. So we rather not do something or do it very slowly because I want to drive. It is like you are in a car and the brake is not working well. How would you drive? You'll drive very slowly, right? 20, 30, maybe not even that. Same way, those people are worried. There's no expertise, no competence. So they say, okay, let me go very slowly. So entire team. And thirdly, leader dependency. So maybe there are 8 to 10 team members in a team. There's only one leader. All 8, 10 team members have taken tokens and standing in queue to talk to the leader. The leader is busy with so many things. Everything slows down again. So these are the reasons why it slows down. So let's do one quick activity. And this is a self activity. I would like you to be extremely candid and open when doing this activity. You need not share your responses. That's perfectly fine. But I request you, please do it with all honesty and candidness. All right. So these are the questions. As I said, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's perfectly fine. But these are the questions. All right. If you could just answer. If you'd like to share it in the chat, please do. You can say 1 yes, 2 no, 3 yes, 4 yes, 5 no, maybe, I'm not sure. All answers are fine if you want to put it in the chat. Anybody wants to speak up, that is also fine. and if I may add, this is entirely about you as a leader. It's not about your team. Do I encourage them to think for themselves, or do I always take the decision? And the last question is very important. If I continue leading the same way, will this person become more independent or more dependent? Just let me know if you have finished. Just put done in the chat once you have completed it. As again said, sharing is optional, up to you. Sachin, you say one. All right. Great. Ravi, again, yes. One, yes. Archana, also yes for one. Two, yes. Okay. All yes. Okay. Ravi says 250-50. Good. That's a good point, because it's not an ideal world. There are times when we have to step in as leaders, and there are times when I have the ability to be able to do that. For example, something is very critical, time urgent. You don't have the time to give them the opportunity. You have to step in. Or the matter is, the impact is very severe. You can't take the risk. Yeah. So Ravi, that's a very good answer. All right. So Prachi says, yes, it is clear. I give opportunity, sometimes help because lack of time. They feel safe to discuss, encourage them. Yes, more independent. All right, great. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for doing that. So all those, if you are saying yes, then you should not face those situations which are there earlier, because these are all things which encourage ownership. Okay, so think about this again once more. And what I would recommend is that start auditing yourself, which is at the end of the day, think about, did my team members come to me? When they came to me, what did I do? When they make a mistake, what do I say? When they come to me with questions, can I do this? Can I do that? Do I give them an answer, or do I ask them questions? Start doing that so that you are getting better, better responses and better actions. All right. Okay, great. All right. So the next is the leadership behaviors which kill ownership. Exactly based on that, give answers quickly. Give answers quickly, solve every problem, check every detail, rescue too quickly, and avoid tough conversations. All right. Yes, Sachin, please go ahead.
So in the industry, so many people are so smart that they portray the things that they are not actually as in, but they portray the things in such a way that it seems difficult to handle by them. So then
Hmm,
you probably see yourself to be handling that, and it
hmm, hmm.
keeps on repeating every time. So in that situation, how we can basically react to those conditions
Sure.
and
Great
situations?
question, Sachin. Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking that, because I'm sure it will help everybody. What you have to do first is that you ask them, why is that it is difficult or complex, and don't stop at one why. When they say this is the reason, again ask, why is that the reason? Again ask, why is that the reason? That is the first thing you can do to really understand if it is complex. The second thing is that, Sachin, you are able to handle it, right? So try and define what is that knowledge and the skill that you have that the other person doesn't have, and see if that can be transferred through a mini training session or coaching session. Because literally, most skills in the world can be broken down into components and skills and knowledge. Most skills. There is, of course, talent which is there, but we can bring everybody up to a certain standard. So try and break down what is that you do. Why is that you do it so well? What knowledge and skill do you bring to it? And then you look at the other person and see where their knowledge is in terms of that by asking questions. Okay. Let me do a quick coaching session here. Sachin, in order to do a webinar, what do you think are 2, 3 key requirements? I'm just quickly going to ask you. Just give your answers whichever you are comfortable with, Sachin.
Good grip on the topic, first of all, on which
Yes,
the webinar is supposed to be basically organized. And
very
then
good.
understanding and analyzing the situation that can occur while explaining the conditions into the webinar, whichever
Mm-hmm.
is the topic is, and then practical analysis depending upon the research which I based upon personal experiences.
Sachin, thank you very much. Sachin, all 3 points you are made are great. Now I'm assuming a hypothetical situation. Okay, Sachin. So it's no reflection on you. All right. Don't think it's a reflection on you. But let's say one of my team members who's there, who's supposed to do webinars, comes and gives me this answer. I will say that's great. Also, there is one important step which you have to take before all this, which is you have to understand why this topic is important for your audience. Why would they listen to you? What would they gain from you that they will take away and use in their daily life? That is critical. Okay. So now I am finding out what is that knowledge which is already present in my team member. What is that they don't know? And then do that. Now, the same thing I can go on to the skill part. I can ask them to show me how they do it and then see what is that they are not able to do. Okay. So do these 2 things, Sachin, to be able to counter when people say, oh, it's too difficult, it's too complex, I'm not able to do it, I come on. Because if you are able to do it and there are many people like you are able to do it, many other people can do it. If a particular person is having an issue, it could be one of 2 things only. One, there is a skill issue. That's it. Or second, there is a will issue. There is no willingness to learn. Skill issue, training, coaching, mentoring, and plus accountability. Will issue, much more difficult because the will can be something due to personal issues, professional issues. It's very more difficult. All right. So everything, anything which a person has to do, any task, break it into these 2. What are the skills required, knowledge required? Train them. What is the will and what is that you can do? Yeah, Sachin, if it's a will issue, Sachin, again, you have to understand if it's a personal issue, something happening outside work. There's nothing you can do as leaders. You can only tell them, hey, I understand that this is happening outside, but here you are required to put in your best. You're required to do these things. Otherwise, your career is going to be affected. So please ensure that you are done. Maybe you can offer them support. Professional, is it to do with you as a leader? Can you do it? Or is it to do with an organization? If it's an organization, tell them, hey, everybody in this organization has to go through the same thing. It's not only you. So just do those things, Sachin. Yeah. I hope I have given you clarity on that. All right. Okay. Thank you. Let's move on. Okay. So these are behaviors which break ownership, and we have to be extremely careful. We cannot solve every problem. We can solve some problems. Before you give answers, just take a minute and see, do I have time to coach this person by asking them, what do you think can be done? Is every detail required to be checked? Because certain things they have been doing well all the time, that you know that they will do well, so I can do it. Rescue too quickly. Tough conversation is very important because if when people are not, and Sachin, you also said this, people will try to manipulate. Uh, Having the tough conversation is very important. Telling them this is the behavior, this is the impact, and this is what will happen to you. Holding them accountable, laying down a consequence is very important. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Next is how can all of you as leaders build ownership? These are the things you can do. Clarify. What do I mean by clarify? Tell them exactly what is expected of them. What is the behavior? What is the actions? What is the standard? What should be the end outcome? I'll give you a quick example. I'm a hotel management graduate, 17 years in the hotel industry, 14 in operations, 3 years in learning and development. I've seen top class executive chefs train their people. What they do is, let's say biryani is what he is teaching them how to cook. He will call a group of 4 new chefs. He will keep 5 types of the same biryani, 5 variants. He'll keep it in front of them. He will ask them to taste everything. Then he'll ask them, what is the best biryani? What is the ideal biryani here? They'll all answer, this is best. Then he'll also say, in each of the other biryanis, tell me what's missing. They'll say salt is a little less, and you would have done it deliberately. The chef would have done it deliberately. You would have put a little less salt. You would have not cooked the rice as much. The masala might have something not in the proper ratio. Small changes he will make, very small. But he will expect all these new chefs to do that. After that, he'll push away the 4 ones which are not perfect. He'll keep this one and say, you might make a biryani 1,000,000 times in this hotel. Every single time, I want to see this. Second, the 5 of you will come at different times and make it. I don't care. Each one of you will make it the same way. I want to see this biryani every week. Absolutely clear. So show them the end outcome. If it's a report, if it's an email, if it is this, what is the end outcome? How should it look? That you tell them very clearly. Build trust by giving them small responsibilities, encouraging them and appreciating them. Then they will say, oh, my leader is now giving me some responsibility. They feel nice. They feel that you are supporting them. So the fear is gone. When you finish doing it, they appreciate you. Small ways, you start trusting them more. When you see them doing it, they start trusting you more when they see you giving them the responsibility. All right. Coach. Everybody needs a coach. I'm an executive coach. I've coached more than 1,000 leaders at a senior level, founders and all that. 1,000. I have a coach. Every year I hire a coach. I pay a large sum of money. I spend 3 to 4 months going through the coach. The coach will call me an utter idiot. I take all that. We all need coaching. Your team members especially need coaching. So every chance you get, you don't have to spend 1 hour. You can coach somebody in just 4 or 5 minutes by just asking them, what is the option here? What happened? What do you think to be done next? Why do you say that? Just simple questions. Okay? Challenge them. When they come and say, I can't do this, I can't do that, challenge them. When you see them performing, give them bigger responsibilities and challenge them. And say that, hey, take it as a challenge. This is a growth opportunity for you. And wherever possible, give them some empowerment, something which they can act on their own, some area where you tell them you are in complete charge. Go ahead, make the decisions, come to me only when something goes wrong. Okay, so that's something which do that. And last, but very important, make sure you hold them accountable. Tell them, hey, we are all here to do a job. We are not here for fun. We are not working for charity. We are all responsible and answerable. So if you are given something, we have to do it, which means if you don't do it, there'll be a consequence. Just make it very clear to them. Okay. So creating a culture of this one, what I just mentioned just now, clarity is everyone knows success, what success looks like. Start with one area. You don't have to start everything tomorrow. Tomorrow, just start with one task, one job, one responsibility, and say that this is what success looks like. It can be a report. It can be a proposal. It can be a task which you have done. Just tell them this is what the outcome should look like. Consistency. Then every day demand the same. One day don't say, okay, this is all right. Another day say, no, I want a better standard or a different standard. Have conversations where you are coaching them, challenging them, not just directing them. And appreciate when people take ownership. accountability, acknowledge, reward, recognize wherever possible. And wherever it is not, tell them, hey, I'm holding you responsible. Okay. So just to give you an idea, instead of giving answers, what do you think? Telling them do this, do that, and all that, tell them this is what I want to see. Instead of following up repeatedly, say that, hey, we will meet every Tuesday and Thursday. And that time, have a tough conversation. When you meet them on Tuesday, have a tough conversation. When they come to you on Wednesday, say that, is it absolutely urgent? Otherwise, we'll talk tomorrow because our review is tomorrow. It's going to be tough initially, but the more you do it, the better. When they come to you, what should I do? Ask them, what do you think? Can you tell me 2 reasons? And don't wait till the end of the year to give them feedback. It's very unfair because the opportunity for them to correct themselves, grow during the entire year, 1 year is wasted. So give them regular feedback on a daily basis, and at least once a quarter, have a sit down with them one-on-one and do a quarterly review and tell them, hey, you're doing all these things well. These things you're not doing well. If I were to do your performance appraisal right now, this will be a rating. If you want that to be your final rating, it's okay. But you want the rating to improve, please do something. I will support you. So just ensure that that is something which you do. All right. With that, we come to the last part. So these are 2 things which is my request to you. One is your leadership commitment. This week and from this week onwards, I will stop any one of the things which we said breaks ownership. And I will start any one of the things which will build ownership. Okay. So if you could just put this in the chat, please. What is one thing you will stop doing as a leader, and that thing which you want to stop, it breaks ownership? And one thing you would like to start, which builds ownership. One simple action. If you could just share it in the chat, please. Wait to see your responses. Sachin, stop being unhelping and available for always and start highlighting things. Absolutely, Sachin. Brilliant, very simple, practical points. Thank you very much. Archana, encourage the team to find solution, discuss rather than providing ready-made solutions. Same. Yeah, when they come to you, don't give answers. Prachi, stop stepping in every now and then. I will start to give 100%. Great. Fantastic. Thank you, Prachi. We will conclude in a minute and then we will request for your feedback. And by sharp 5 o'clock, we will be able to complete this workshop. Karthik, I've stopped guiding the resources. Instead, we'll start questioning them to understand. Yeah, absolutely right. Coaching. And Karthik, you'll be surprised at sometimes what answers they come up with. Yeah, so please do that.
Can I share the feedback page?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Patil. Okay, Patil, go ahead. Over to you. Okay, so Patil has shared a webinar feedback. You will be able to see it on your screens, so you can do that. Okay, Superno, encourage to find solution rather than hand-holding them. Yes, very true. And just once again, a reminder, the feedback form is being shared. You would see it on your screens. If you could please share your thoughts. It will just take 2 minutes. And it's very important for us so that we know how these webinars are helping you. Is there something else which we need to do? We'll be happy to do that also. So it will help us make these webinars much more effective and relevant for you. Thank you, Suparno.
Thank you. It was a great session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
49 Thank you. Thank you.
65.
So, as so everybody is giving the feedback, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for your active participation. It was wonderful to see such an engaging and interactive session. A special thanks to Mr. Prakash Nair for sharing his valuable insights on building a culture of ownership and accountability. We hope you found the session valuable. Please do share your feedback and you can drop off. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you at our future webinars. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Wishing you all a very good evening. Thank you, Archana.
Same to you.
Ayyappan, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vijay. Prachi, thanks again. Nijosh.